Hope you watched my previous episode. It's about steps or roadmap to become a kernel developer. I just summarized 5 steps and then I made it as a quick intro, and then I added an extended version of the same. I thought let me just add on a few pointers in this episode so that it will help you even more further. See, I suggest if you haven't watched this episode, you can watch the same. I'm going to attach this link in the video description. So in that I summarized 5 steps. As you can see here, the step 1 is to become a programmer, and you need to have some good hands-on experience, not just writing some sample code. I mean to say a real professional. Okay. The second thing is learn operating systems. As I said, you can swap step 2 and 3. The third thing is learn kernel data structures, and then read the existing code and write your kernel code. So here is where I thought let me give a small add-on to this step, which is to learn various kernel provided data structures. I meant, like I said in that episode, the data structures should include the structs and the APIs, so the whole combination. So each module or each subsystem can contain many such components. Usually they create instances as the kernel boots and as it starts. Each time it creates various instances, and each time you add any module or something, you just need to use the existing component. This is what in a larger scale it happens. So various subsystem, each time it creates an instance and then it provides the required service. Take for instance files are nothing but instance of a data structure, which it kind of fools to the user space as if there are files, but in the reality there are no files. It is just block level data stored in a hard drive. Same way, if you bring up any network device, each time it creates a new instance and it shows it as a network interface. As you can fool and you can create virtual drivers, and then you can create virtual interfaces. The virtual interfaces will work and look exactly the same as physical interfaces unless until you link these virtual drivers to the real interface. Other than that, it just works the same in the user level because whatever the instance you create, it is just the same. It is using the existing data structures and it is doing that. So I would recommend you to approach like a professional. See, take this advice from me. I'm not some YouTuber and sitting and stuff. See, I'm a professional. So take this advice, that work and approach like a pro. And even if you're out of college, you have done a formal education. In most of the times in India, we can see you have done bachelor's of engineering, let it be you call as a BE, BTech, whatever. You have done a professional education, and the moment you come out of the college, be like a pro and approach the learning also like a pro and gain the skills or whatever like a professional. So I can give some couple of examples to summarize this thing, because I too got some mails. Even some of my students also got some more clarification on this. So I can give an example. Hope you must have seen the Subway sandwich. So this is for someone, a viewer not from India. I can give this as an example. The Subway sandwich shop or something I can give. As you can see here, he prepares the sandwich with various ingredients here. See, you can see the picture over there. And if you take example like in India, you have this chart center. Well, as you can see here, it is a good picture. You can see there, I just changed the search as a vendor or something. Then I got more interesting pictures. See, let's take one picture out of this, and so that we can understand. See, there are various ingredients, and based on whatever dish you order, okay, whatever dish you order from his menu, he's going to put in various combinations, and most of the times 80% of his ingredients are going to be the same, no matter what snack you order. Let it be pani puri, he may not add certain ingredients for pani puri, but if you order any bel puri, he may add certain other ingredients. So more or less the same. If you order dahi puri, since they need to add this yogurt, or we call it as dahi, he's going to put more dahi. Whereas if you order some masala puri or something, then he's going to put just hardly a teaspoon of dahi. Okay. So same way, if you go to Subway, sandwich, and if you order, sometimes you can custom order, you can ask them to put more iceberg lettuce. Usually my wife likes that, so we tell them to put more pickles if you want, or lettuce more, or a certain sauces you can pick in that stuff, and also you can choose the variety of bread, whatever you want, and the choice of meat, and things like that. So based on that, they can custom prepare your sandwich, and you enjoy. So one thing you learn from this is, you see, no matter what recipe or dish it demands, more or less they use the same ingredients out of that, and they change the percentage what they add per dish, and then they prepare you the dish whatever you have ordered. So most of the times in the kernel code, this is what is the skill especially you need, because many get confused the moment they start reading books. Either they end up reading about OS basics and stuff. It is not going to help you to do anything practical. Okay, it is only going to make you ready for exams, which is meant to pass your college, but you can't be a programmer with that sort of knowledge. The next thing, another confusion is, the moment you go to any institute, they will bring you immediately to some hands-on examples. Again, it is not going to make you anywhere. The third thing is, if you self-learn and if you say kernel programming, and another thing is, again they will go into confuse you with some useless hello world example. With hello world, no one can learn SE code. You need to learn all other aspects, and then you will finally become a SE programmer. Okay, so what I meant is, you start with hello world. Okay, you know how to compile using this hello world. After that, you should know how variables are, what variables are, and how to use the variables with operators, and what each other constructs, such as conditional statements and loops, and then you will start writing your own APIs. As I say, API is my favorite word. I don't use the word like function, procedure, all this nonsense. Okay, I like to use the word API. Okay, because API, when I mention, I see the commerce or commercial aspect. When I use the word functions, I see it is a term more a typical programmer use. So I like to use the word API, because in web development, usually there are certain frameworks. You can make a framework and you can sell the framework, and essentially what you sell is APIs you sell. Okay, so which is why I don't call as functions, I call as APIs. So APIs is something which abstracts. Okay, so you have to pick this skill. The overall objective, whenever you do kernel code, you need to pick from that assorted stuff. Some ingredients you don't add in some dishes. Same way, some kernel modules, if you write any network modules, then you may need to use network data structures. And if you use if you write any file system, or if you write any device driver, maybe you may not ever need any network modules in that, or network data structures into that module in which you are actually doing a driver code. So let it be a module you are writing a driver, let it be a module you are adding some functionality, or you are adding some feature to a file system or something. You need to choose the available ingredients. The ingredients over here, right, in each bin there are ingredients. See, I'm again not so keen about these feedback stuff in YouTube comments. I'm not interested in feedback. I suggest the viewers to use the YouTube comments like a Q&A session. If you have any interesting questions, you can use the framework or the platform of YouTube. I'm not really worried if anyone sends that this example I don't like, that example I don't like. If any such odd comments I get, I'm going to go and delete. I'm openly telling that. Okay, I'm not interested in feedback. I'm just telling you, I'm a professional. I have my clients, I have my business. I'm not worried about taking who appreciates or who don't like my examples. My objective is to make understand something, so that majority of the audience who have keen enough to listen something which is also coming for free. Okay, you are not paying for YouTube. Neither I don't get anything substantial from YouTube directly through ads or something. So just take a word or suggestion from a professional. All I'm giving is an example so that you can understand. See, each ingredient over here, what you see, right? Each ingredient, see, there is this peanuts, maybe these are pre-roasted peanuts, and this is like chana or something, and this is onion, which is finely chopped onions, and he have also finely chopped tomatoes and various sauces. This can be red sauce, this can be tamarind and sweet sauce, so it is tangy and sweet sauce, and this is like green chutney or pudina and green or mint and green chili sauce and stuff like that. And apart from that, you can see there is this save and this puri is there, more of flat type stuff, and so he is going to use various ingredients and he is going to make the dish which you exactly order. So take this as the learning curve. The technique you need to follow is this. So I'm giving an example. You want to be a professional, work like a professional. See, the guy who does this is actually a professional. He does so fast, like this. He is going to add the ingredients. He may have 30 customers. Per customer, go and count how much time he is taking. Okay, per customer he takes hardly around 2 minutes. The more professional he is, more faster and more good dishes he makes. See, it's not a question of making a dish fast. If you order masala puri, it's not about how fast he prepares. If you order a sandwich, it's not about how fast he can prepare. There is an exception. If you go to Subway, it is a branded product. Okay, it's a packaged branded product. I meant to say packaged means it is something company decides the menu. It is something company decides what is the offering. So the packaging or the offering, the business offering is done by Subway management. So here you go and eat in this Subway, or you go and eat another Subway, or you go and eat in Domino's Pizza, one outlet versus other outlet, more or less it is going to taste the same. Let it be Pizza Hut or anything. So here there is an exception. Here it is a branded stuff, so you will get a particular brand influence, or whatever they choose, more or less it is going to be the same, but they do customize based on the country. In some countries, if they don't eat pork, they may not add into their entire menu itself, versus in India, as they may not add beef salami or this pork salami and stuff like that. So it depends. So they may customize here and there, but more or less you will get the same thing whichever Subway outlet you go. Same thing applies to Pizza Hut, Domino's and also. Learn the lesson that all he is doing is take these ingredients, and some he will add, some he don't add, and then he is going to make the dish. This is the learning curve. So go there, see, observe a professional how he does. He may be not a professional compared to a street vendor, because the street vendor is an entrepreneur by himself. Okay, it is his business, versus a guy who works in the Subway shop is hardly earning some wages, weekly, monthly, whatever it is. He is just going to earn. So there is a lot of difference. A street vendor doing it is a real pro, because he have that core skills, and he can actually customize his whatever the ingredients, and he can make a very unique recipe out of that. And you often see some of the street vendors will have lots of people. He may get per day hundreds of people queuing near his small shop. So the reason is he have that unique skills. Not everyone can borrow, because that's what is his unique USP. The unique selling point of him is his secret recipes and secret formulas, and small whatever the changes he have done, it adds the value. Same thing I'm saying, programming is an art. It is not something you learn. Like I said in previous episode, you learn some like this slide. Luckily I just copied that whatever I wrote. So it is not you read some grammar and then you can write become a poet or author or something. It is an art. Okay, respect it like an art form. Don't treat it like some sort of a chore. Okay, this is not, chore means not Hindi chore. I'm saying the chore is the English chore. So it is not some mopping the floor or washing the vessels kind of. It is more like an art. So you write the code more like an art form. You can write the same logic in various ways. You can write the same thing in various languages. You can express it in whichever way you want, but the end product should satisfy the customer. So learn again from not a programmer perspective, learn as an entrepreneur perspective. If you take a smartphone, you see you have various choices. You can buy an iPhone, right? You can buy an iPhone, or you can buy any Android phone. both will work more or less the same. Everything is a smartphone, but here the ecosystem is completely different. There are some customers who are willing to pay for such a product and buy such a product, respect it. There are also other customers who are willing to pay and buy only an Android product. If you ask me, I don't much. I used to buy, I bought once a very expensive phone. After that, I felt never in my life I'm going to buy anything like that. So nowadays I stick with a very basic budget phone, which is more than enough for 99% of my work, and moreover I'm not a person who uses a phone. So that way, if you see, it is all about an ecosystem. So focus on this aspect. It is, programming is an art, and treat it that way, and don't treat it like a chore. You go there and just do something, and A equal to C plus D. It is not that. It is more to be treated like an art. You can architect. The fun part, what I get in programming is, I treat it like an artwork. And the same way, if you ask me, I sometimes treat the YouTube videos like an artwork, as if I have directed a movie. And this is why I don't like any feedback, because as an artist, I don't like any feedback. Artists don't want any feedback of their creation. Okay, if there is any painting, let's take for instance Picasso, any painting. Okay, let's take an instance, any painting like this. See, he purposely did a painting like this the way he wants. Okay, he don't need to make a ultra realistic paintings. He wants to convey something in his paintings so that it looks crooked intentionally. See, Picasso is a artist who can actually do hyper realistic paintings as well, and he have done that in fact before doing these paintings. But after that, he started working on this modern contemporary artwork. So he almost started the trend of doing this. So I treat in my videos also like a artwork. So I don't much be open in feedback and all. I use it, I treat it like a work of art, and also I use as a platform, so that it is like a educational platform. If you have any Q&A, you connect me intellectually. I enjoy discussing things who are able to connect with me intellectually. I don't like someone sort of falling into some conclusion and wasting my time. I really don't have this thing. So treat it like an artwork. Same way, when you do programming, treat it like an artwork. When you want to become a kernel expert, especially this step, what I put over here, okay, kernel data structures, learn it, and when you do the real coding, treat it like an artwork. It may not look like art, but it is art for you. Okay, when I write a code, it is an art form for me. I have my rules, which I don't follow what the industry dictates. I have my rules. I do the code my way, the way I want. I don't follow just because someone told. I don't need to follow their way of stuff, because what is the bottom line for me is, I do the code and it should do the job what exactly I want, and the way I architect the code. So that's what is my bottom line. So this is my design philosophy. So use this. So hope this helps you. So before I conclude, I just want to show a very, very quick analogy so that you can understand even more better. So as some of you know or seen some videos, I do know cooking. I know cooking quite extensively. I used to do like a fun or hobby from a young age. And let me give another analogy or example so that you can even more understand better. See, for instance, we use this thing. I don't know really what to say in English. Usually we have this assorted ingredients. Which we use it for seasoning. As you know, this contains mustard. If you're an Indian, of course you will be well aware of this. And if not, I have this spice rack. You can see there it has assorted spices. You can see there in various tiny bottles. Okay, so we use this for seasoning various dishes. You can see there. So in Telugu we call as talimpu petti or box. In Tamil it is called as Sanjarai petti, and stuff like that. In Kannada it is called as Ogarne, and I'm not sure what you call as seasoning in Hindi. Okay, anyway, see, we have this in almost every Indian home. So you can see there most important ingredient is mustard, and you have this cumin, and it has pepper, and of course I used to have even Guntur red chilies and stuff like that. Besides, even it has this some this thing like cinnamon and this cardamom and stuff. So if we do any non-vegetarian or any palav or something, we may use this for seasoning. Of course you can grind it and make your own custom masala powders, okay, but you can use as it is for seasoning as well if you are not so well versed with cooking, okay. And the entire complete cardamom we can put even for that seasoning. Otherwise, for regular seasoning like rasam, sambar, everything, we may put such as mustard and cumin, which is jeera, and pepper, and optionally you can use red chilies and stuff. So when I do different dishes, all I do is use the same ingredients and change the quantity. If I do rasam, I may add a little more cumin, which is this jeera. So this I use a little more. And same way, when my wife does any North Indian dishes, usually for tempering or seasoning those dishes, we should avoid using mustard, because the moment you add mustard, it brings that South Indian type of a flavor, okay. So she uses cumin instead of mustard. In case if I do some rasam or something, then I put a bit more of cumin, so that it cuts down that vomiting sensation of tamarind, okay. So take this approach. Okay, I take this approach when I do coding, or when I do coding, I take the same approach when I do cooking as well. So what is the thing is, we are using same ingredients and use our common sense. See, you may have knowledge, use your common sense, when to apply knowledge, how much to apply of what you learnt, okay. See, this is again a mistake I see often people do is, they don't focus programming. See, that's why I told step 1, the most important thing is you should be a programmer, and you should use your you should focus on logic of solving something or creating something. As a programmer, you are creating something, and engineer itself is a creator, okay. You focus in creation rather than cribbing about solving some puzzles or some equations. It's not about tiny equations, it's about creating a whole logic is the most important, okay. So when I do cooking, it's not I can claim that I know this tempering or seasoning, I don't know how to make the entire dish. So I'm giving an example. So if I do any sort of seasoning stuff, more or less I use the same ingredients in the same this thing, even for masala dishes or very typical South Indian dishes. If I use coconut chutney for idli and dosa or something, all you need is some mustard, and you don't put jeera because it will taste odd, although some people may use it, some restaurants may use it, but I feel it is odd. So I use mustard and red chili. It is more than enough to put seasoning for a coconut chutney. Same way, if I do rasam, sometimes optionally I may add this black pepper also, but you need to be careful, because black pepper will explode like anything if you put it in a very hot oil. So you need to treat with caution. Same way, when you do kernel code, 90% of the times your kernel code will crash, okay. 90% of the times when you do cooking, some or other dish will burn, or it may undercook, or most of the times you will end up overcooking, or it may overflow. If some sambar or something, it will overflow and spill on the stove. If you boil milk, it will overflow, spill on the stove. So disasters will happen. Kernel code, it happens even more frequently. So you need to learn, of course, kernel debugging and several things. So let us not get into that. So focus, as I said, the step 3 is kernel data structures. It's all about, you have various ingredients, which is your data structures, how to use the ingredients, which are your APIs. So recipe ingredients is what makes you to cook a dish. Same way, you want to write a kernel code, you don't have a knowledge on any recipes, okay, which are steps to do a dish, okay, and ingredients. You don't have any knowledge on ingredients. You don't know what mustard is, you don't know what cumin is, you don't know what this is, and you are saying that I want to get a job as a programmer and write a kernel drivers, which means you are telling that I want to make a mutton biryani and I don't know what mutton is, I don't know what rice is. So this is the thing. So there's a lot of gap. Anyone who thinks I can do this in 1 month, 2 months, just forget it. It's a long duration stuff. So it may take 6 months, it may take 1 year, or it may take even more further. So it all depends on what is your speed of grasping things, and what is your real experience, and what is your situation of your use case and stuff. So it may be a long-term affair. I'm not saying even if you study them every day, still it depends on how much you work. Okay, studying alone doesn't help. Okay, it is not. I don't need to see 10 times what mustard is and eat it raw and judge what mustard is. Each dish, as you put, it changes the flavor profile. And you should know always, you should burn the mustard. You should not put the dish without it getting split or popping up. So you need to make sure mustard is popped up, then you start preparing the dish. Same way, when you write the code, you should learn a lot of things, and you will get a lot of things as the time progresses. With proper experience, you will get to know various things. So which is why I'm saying it will take a long time. Same way, I can quickly show my spice rack. Again, this is quite this has 4 2s are 8 9 10 11 bottles, and one bottle I put some computer screws and stuff like that. It is in my wardrobe. So this too have some repeated ingredients, like it has some more extra pepper, but it has again this has this cardamom, but it has this cloves, and it has various other, this has like this ajwain. And say for instance I made this chili flakes so that I can use it for my pizza and pasta. I don't buy the stupid chili flakes which you buy in the store. You have to supposed to prepare at home, and which is when it tastes good. Okay, there is a particular logic how you prepare this chili flakes. Okay, so I do keep this handy. Other than that, I have this dried mint. Again, I use it quite frequently in pizza, pasta, or any sort of British omelette or something. Sometimes I do use this as an extra seasoning, which I like. Okay, so like that I have various assorted spices. There is another spice rack is there which has other ingredients, which over here it is not there, which are usually powdered stuff. Let it be red chili powder, turmeric powder, all powdered stuff. So always any dish we prepare, let it be fish fry, use more or less same ingredients as adding masala. The fish will be different, but this remains the same. The question is, seeing this, no one can think that I can become a chef or a cook. It comes with lot of experience, it comes with a lot of devotion, and it is itself, cooking itself is an art form. Same way, programming itself is an art form. And don't imagine that 3 months I learn, I'll become a kernel developer. You will be of not anything. Okay, so it's not. Okay, so this is the same even if you learn with me, or if you go to institute, or you learn by yourself, it is the same. The duration more or less is the same. The more you devote, maybe you can be a good capable person by 1 year, or if you don't put enough effort, maybe you are not so capable, in the sense you are not so capable enough to write new code in that 1 year duration. So take this input as a professional. I'm saying, not some some YouTuber wants to take some video. These are the type of sessions I do cover with my students. So what is the thing is, use these tips, relate to the real world. When you go there, anywhere you go and see the things, enjoy the beauty of things happening, and try to relate your life with that and the progress. Okay, unfortunately people don't do that. All you get is some manager, he says that okay, you have a deadline, you finish this, you do this and you do that, and there is no question of anyone teaching you either moral and ethics, and anywhere it has become. So what happens is, you work in a company not knowing what money is, not knowing what wealth is, not knowing what salary is. All you be surrounded is like your type of friends who tells that, oh no, this company is not giving good salary, this job is not good, why not you switch to that company, somebody has switched, why don't I switch also, things like that. You are surrounded by this kind of a constant distraction. So find the bigger picture, and so that you can live a peaceful life and a contentful life. It's not about how much money you make, it's all about how much content you are. Okay, it's not about success. Okay, don't believe in stupid success formulas and bullshit. Actually, I'm saying live content. Okay, contentful life, which means a satisfied life. Don't go behind so-called success formula. What is the success formula of becoming a programmer? How to be a successful kernel programmer? No, I'm not. Even I'm not as any successful programmer. Okay, I like programming to do like an art form. I do for me. I do for my clients. I treat it like an art form. So let us, see that way. Okay, so hope you learned some big picture. Hope this has given you a different perspective approach in a way like this, and treat programming as an art form. It is not something you do today and then tomorrow fetch a job. Just don't treat it like that. It is not, you can treat a girl as a prostitute, you can treat a girl as your wife, you can treat a girl as your sister. The choice is yours. Okay, I'm saying it's the same girl. You can treat her like anything you want. You can treat a girl as your mother. I mean, as a mother, not your mother, any girl I'm saying. So you can treat any women as anything you want. So programming is the same. How you treat it matters. Same way as I said, the YouTube, I treat it like an art form. So I don't really bother about any sort of feedback, which they don't know what I am, and they kind of come some conclusion. And if I compare astrologically, they don't know what is my mindset. Nothing. Okay, so it's just they just want to type something and they come some conclusion. I'm saying, when you approach life, see the things in this perspective. Don't see something today I learned, tomorrow I get a job, day after tomorrow some on-site opportunity, I need to feed my family. I'm not denying that. Career is about, it's very simple. You go for office, you earn there, you go there for earnings, as a side benefit, as a extra incentive, you learn something as a learning curve, but you are not going to office to get learning curve alone. You go there to get money. Okay, so hope you enjoyed this session. If you have anything to discuss, be in touch via mail or post your queries in YouTube comments. Thanks a lot for joining me. Stay tuned. Have a nice day. Bye bye.